Hello. Over the past 7 years working in the global protective coatings industry, I've had the opportunity to meet some very exciting and interesting professionals. In this series, I will feature these interesting professionals. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Scott Menzies and I'm the President and CEO of the Coating Inspector. My background is born and raised on the tools. I'm a sandblaster and painter by trade, and now I'm an A certified level 3 inspector by profession. Also a protective coating specialist, level 2. Did some training with MPI, architectural coating specialist, certified trainer for SSPC for C7, C12, C6, and also trained the painter. So I've dabbled into multiple aspects of the industry.
In this episode of Jim Kunkle's interviews, I'm talking with Scott Menzies, who's known as a coating inspector. Scott's located in Hamilton, Canada. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, what I wanted to do to kind of kick this off to get people to know a little bit more about you, can you go into your professional background, talk about your experience and expertise in the field?
Yeah, of course. I'm a young man. I was born in '88, puts me at the ripe old age of 31. I've been doing this since, my father put me on my first ship when in 2000, and I believe it was about probably 2005 or so, I was put on my first ship. We were doing a cargo hold coating project down in Sarnia, Ontario, which is directly across from Port Huron. And I started working full-time in the industry in 2008 as a sandblaster painter apprentice. And then from there, I just slowly, I worked my way up into the inspection trade. So a little side story, I was actually doing a ship in Port Weller Dry Docks, which is about a half hour east of here. And I was on the end of the nozzle blasting away, and I seen a gentleman walk up to the side of the ship, and he was doing dry film thickness tests. And I had no idea what he was doing. And I got down, we had break, and I asked my dad at the time, I said, Dad, what's this guy doing? Like, what's the deal with this? And he said, well, he's an ace inspector. And I thought to myself at that moment, I thought, I got to get off this nozzle and I got to get to where that guy is. So the journey started.
So that's how it started. And the thing what's unique about your story and what I found, I've known you for a number of years, and I've followed you for a number of years since I've been really intimately involved in the protective coatings industry, that you're a very dynamic person. You have a lot of enthusiasm and energy. And as you mentioned, you're still a very young professional, but you kind of grew up in this industry, and you've seen both sides on the surface prep, the coating application side, and now on the inspection side. Why create the coatings inspector? Why did you come up with that concept? And give me some background, or give us some background about that.
Well, originally we started out as when I broke out on my own, I started it as the McLeod Coating Inspection Services. And about 9 or 10 months ago, we rebranded to the Coating Inspector to really identify who we were and who we are as inspectors. A lot of times, with such a niche market, we didn't really know. A lot of people don't know, and they always ask, what do you do? I got the name on the vehicles now, and every day 3 or 4 people ask, what is it that you do? And I love telling them I watch paint dry, and they always get a good kick out of that. So we started as McLeod, and then grew into the coating inspector, and through that, we kind of we continually just kind of evolved into where we are today. Yeah.
So you have a presence on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and other type of social platforms. And what I find interesting is the approach that you take is you kind of really make it. You do a point of view all the time when you're talking about a job site that you're on or what type of work you're doing. Are you looking to make watching paint dry exciting in the industry?
Yeah, I really love my job, to be honest with me. So anything I find, I find there's a lot of information that was left to the wayside. I mean, I was lucky enough to be raised in the trade, like you had mentioned, especially working with my father. My father was a project manager and a supervisor. He was actually more on the office side of things, which I feel again is a lost art. We don't get taught how to do project management in sandblasting and painting. We get taught how to do inspections, and I was lucky enough to be able to learn that information as well as be on the tools. So anytime that I can do the value adds on Instagram or, do some type of video to get awareness out there that says, hey, we do exist, this is an industry, this is a job that is, that requires people. It's more so to help the industry from a blasting and painting standpoint. I mean, I find that there's quite a few inspectors out there. What we really need is more personnel, more blasters and painters, more management, more supervisors. So anything I can do to create awareness and help the industry, I just like doing it. And a lot of times people ask me, why don't you write white papers and that type of thing? And I'll be honest, I enjoy talking like this more so than I do sitting in front of a pad and use my pen to write out a bunch of words. So that's kind of where that started.
And I think the thing that's really important in the current state of our industry, because, no matter where we are in the globe in the protective coatings industry, we're having a challenge when it comes to finding craft workers. The other thing is the awareness on how to deal with corrosion and looking at protective coatings and linings. So to your point, it's about the awareness, creating the awareness, but also the interesting and exciting aspect of our industry. So when you're doing things like on Instagram, or you're doing YouTube videos, or you're doing, live streaming or webinars and things like that you do, it really helps create that awareness of our industry, but also helps attract people in it. Most of the people that I, have gone to know in the last, 7+ years in this industry, most of them very few of them grew up in the industry. The second thing, they never planned to be in the protective coatings industry. So that still persists today. What else are you looking to do related to the coatings inspector regarding the branding and also the awareness? Are you looking to do anything in addition to Instagram and other things?
Well, we're going to be doing more videos for sure. And I'm just learning about marketing as we speak, getting involved in more marketing I'm a coating inspector and a project manager and blaster painter by trade. So I'm just reading some books currently and working on branding and marketing as we're growing. We are going to do more videos because that's I enjoy them, and that's kind of where we excel. And we're going to create more awareness. We have talked about doing a blog on our webpage to continue to promote the industry. I mean, I really love just it's the little tricks that I like showing people. And it's funny, it's such a small little industry. Sorry, I rephrase that. It's a huge industry, but it's a small family of people. Mm-hmm. And it's like these little tricks that I've learned, they don't really get talked about, and I can give you a quick example. If you we have our DFT gauges, the Felsco type gauges with the cords on them and the probes at the end of them. Sometimes when you're doing DFTs on a ship or on a tank, you'll get a ground fault and the gauge won't read. So you actually have to take the wire and wrap it around the gauge body, and then it'll read without any issues, just because of the current or a straight current flowing through the steel. I actually got called down to Montreal about 2 years ago because they couldn't get their DFT gauge to work and they couldn't take readings. I drove all the way. It was about 7 hours. I drove down to Montreal. Didn't realize what the problem was at the time, but I got there. They told me what the issue was, and I picked up the gauge. I wrapped the cord around it and started reading, and all 3 guys almost fell over. And that's the little tricks that I like getting out to the industry, because those are the things that are going to save people time and provide that experience before they run into problems, so they don't have to pick up the phone or they don't have to spend money to try to figure it out. They can it's right there at their fingertips. And I think that's what the industry's missing, is all that little bit of invaluable information that you're not going to read it in a book. You're not going to gain that, the experts got to give it out to the industry. Otherwise it's going to die with the experts. And that's what I'm trying to really reach out to people and try to give them.
Perfect. So as a very successful inspection firm and the other services that you do, including training and things like that, obviously you're running a business, and in order for you to survive, you've got to be able to make money. Is it difficult to find time to balance between the aspect of the marketing and the promotion and the coatings inspector persona, and also actually doing inspection work, because you yourself are in the field a lot as well?
Yes, I am. I'm working on trying to focus on being a business owner as well as an inspector. More so on the business side of things. I'm blessed. I'll tell you, I have an extremely good team of guys, and I have a really good group of people around me. I spend a lot of time. I'm a hockey enthusiast, as you can imagine. We're in Canada, right? So,
In Canada.
I run the business much like a hockey team, and that's what I always go back to. Like, if you want to win the cup, you got to have the right people in place, and that includes your personal trainers, for finances, for your business, for your mind, for your overall health, and your team. You got to have your captains, your assistant captains, your defense, your goalie, everything. It's all got to jive, and that's how I I operate the business, to make sure that everything is in place. And as a leader, I support them. I can't stress enough about the value of family and balance within the industry. It is a tough industry. We're on the road a lot. Our jobs it's not a 9-to-5 job. And I don't find it difficult to balance because of the team. We take care of each other. We make sure that, if a guy's out on a job for 30 or 60 days, that there's some type of relief in place for him so that he can get to his family. Our guys, all of us have dogs. We bring our dogs with us to job sites if we're gone for long periods of time. So I wouldn't say it can be challenging for balance, but we always manage to find a way. We don't have I wouldn't say it's hard. One thing that I want to get out there is that I've been blessed that I've actually worked with a business coach who's been extremely helpful. I also work with I work for a coach for all aspects of the business. Anything, like I'm a blaster painter and inspector by trade. So anywhere that I feel like I need support, I have experts in place to support me, and I feel like that's the critical key to success.
But it sounds like you've achieved a very good balance there with your firm, and then also the pursuit of the informational and the outreach related to the coatings inspector. When it comes to the current market, let's say the protective coatings industry, now that we've moved into a new decade, where do you see changes coming? Where's this industry heading in the next 10 years, in your opinion?
Gosh, it's scary in a good way. I'll be honest with you. With the flood of maintenance up here in my neck of the woods, coatings is becoming a lot more dominant. I figure and this is just my thought on this. I figure that Canada is like about 15 to 20 years behind the States when it comes to protective coatings. But we're slowly starting to catch up because the maintenance is starting to come into play, and coatings are becoming more dominant. Like, rather than tear down something and rebuild it, we're starting to preserve it and protect it. As far as technology goes, I mean, the vinyl esters and the 100% solids, epoxies, and polyurethanes are becoming more and more available and easier to work with every day. When the couple products came out back, like the Polybrids and the Emerthanes 490s, they were difficult to apply. They required very strict QA conditions and quality conditions, and now we're starting to see 28-day overcoat windows, unlimited overcoat windows, workability with brush and rollers for stripe coating. So the manufacturers are starting to recognize that if it's easier for the contractor to apply, it's the owner is going to get a better job. So I continually see that improving. As far as the inspection courses are always getting better. They're updating. SSBC and NACE are both updating their courses annually to move and maintain the growth of the industry. And then technology, just internal technology. I mean, this year or last year, the coating inspector built a coating inspection app that we utilize. That we're just getting. We built it for ourselves internally because I seen need to make sure that we manage our documentation for years to come. So we actually built our own inspection app, and we're going to possibly go to market with it and utilize it out there in the industry. And it conforms to ISO 9000 as well as meets the QP5 requirements. And I feel like, we basically minimize the paperwork down to minutes rather than hours. And that's also very, the paper and pen thing is going to the wayside. I mean, everything's done with an app now, and I think the tech community is moving forward with coatings as well, right down to drone inspections in confined spaces. That's something that we're working on right now as well. Being able to fly inside of not only tanks but structural bridges without having to worry about losing the drone, and being able to visually do inspections without having to climb water towers or bridges and help with the safety. The safety aspect of the industry has grown a lot. We're starting to see, we used to, with the leads and vinyls being removed for us up here anyways, and I believe for you guys as well, we're starting to see new things come up. The barium in the cadmium, I believe, in the coal and copper slags is becoming it's becoming an issue, I guess, that we're looking at, and respiratory awareness is becoming more prevalent, more dominant now. I mean, we can go. Our guys, we have a standard for our respirators that if we're in an enclosure for more than an hour, we write the time on our respirators so we know that when to take them off. Those things. They just weren't done back in the day. 30 years ago, we didn't even wear respirators. So but now it's becoming more and more detailed with the health and safety, confined spaces. Ballard just came out with a hood that has two-way communication in it. That's a huge leap forward for safety in confined spaces. Being able to communicate with the blaster at real time and make sure they're okay. For the longest time, we weren't able to talk to the blaster, and we always had to use the hammer method that, 2 bangs is okay. Well, what if he falls? Is it 2 bangs or did he fall? Is it 1 bang? So that was always an issue, and we always kind of tiptoed around it very carefully. But now, with Ballard coming out with that new technology, it's leaps and bounds for the health and safety of our employees, which is huge. So there's big things to come, enormous things to come in the blast and paint industry, and it's exciting and like I said, scary in a good way at the same time.
Well, it's very good to hear that you're integrating a lot of new technologies and also looking at streamlining and documentation, information sharing. What in kind of concluding this interview, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you feel that we should talk about in closing?
I think overall, I think we covered off on quite a bit of stuff. I don't think there's anything that really sticks out. Health and safety is a big one for me and has always been. I feel like with us as blasters and painters being I don't want to say we're a needed industry, but we always kind of got pushed to the side for the longest time. And now we're starting to be heard, which is a really, really good thing. Unfortunately, there's been a few accidents that have had to happen, and unfortunately, but the silver lining in that is that now the health and safety awareness groups are starting to put some light on our trade and recognize that there's holes. And I think that aside from everything else, the health and safety has been the biggest plus so far in the industry, probably over the last 5 years.
Oh, perfect. For everyone watching this interview, in the comments below, I'll leave contact information for Scott and also the website link so that you can check out the coatings inspector. Scott, I very much appreciate your time and look forward to continuing working with you moving forward.
Of course, James. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.